I call to order this June 12th, 2023 Henderson County Board of Public Education board meeting. We'll all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. All right, first things first, we're going to do an agenda approval, but I'm going to be removing new business A. So I will accept a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I move we approve the agenda as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Dale won. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Program highlight, Dr. David Stegall. Welcome, sir. The floor is yours.
Students back here with all their accolades. I know that's what we're here for, and you want to get to it. So I wanted to give a quick overview with the wonderful partnership we have. It's been ongoing. I want to share with you a new partnership that we have with Blue Ridge Community College called Blue Ridge College Program. And Mr. Garrett's going to kind of chime in here with me, kind of share where we are with offering up opportunities for your students and trying to strengthen the bond and those partnerships that we have. I'm David Stegall. I'm the Chief of Staff at Blue Ridge Community College. I'm a former reformed superintendent. Served as superintendent a number of years with Mr. Garrett down the mountain, and am honored to be able to work with the college and to serve our students in a higher ed manner and know kind of what works based on my experience and working with your school district. We want to see how we can provide students opportunities to gain college credit for free while still in high school. So do I control this, I guess, here? All right. So I want to give a little bit of background. In North Carolina, there is an initiative, and we're very blessed that our state has had such foresight to think about how we can serve our students. They have an initiative called Career and College Promise. You may hear it called CCP. And CCP, you've utilized it for years. It's really three avenues. One is an early college, which you have on our campus. That's one avenue. Students can come to school at your innovative high school, and they can get high school credit and college credit at the same time. Have a little different experience than a traditional high school, but it serves many students well and it provides them great opportunity. A second strand of CCP is CTE, Career and Technical Education. Students can get certification, credentials, and workforce opportunities, welding, automotive, it's a wide variety of opportunities. And students can earn industry credentials that are transferable. They have something of value, credential value. They walk onto the job site when they graduate, and even before, they can start to work making living wages as an 18, 19-year-old in many industries that have high needs. The third one is what we're going to talk about today, and that's a transfer portal, a transfer program. So we've offered this at Blue Ridge for your students for a number of years. And the way this works, the General Assembly has an articulation agreement saying that students in high school who qualify, and we'll go through that in just a moment, can take college courses with us, with any community college. They're getting high school credit and college credit at the same time, dual enrolled. These are college transfer students who have an aspiration to go to a four-year university mostly. They can take these credits, and all the classes they're taking are the same courses that you would take your first 2 years at any of a state school. If you go to Chapel Hill or Western or Appalachian, it's the same classes, same credentials, same expectations, but they can take them for free and get some of this out of the way before they get to college. Save mom and dad and their parents and their relatives money and get ahead of the game. So here in Henderson County, we've been doing this, and it really has been kind of an a la carte. A school principal or administrator, a counselor may call and say, hey, Blue Ridge, we have a group of students that want to take this specific math course. Can you offer it? And we'll go through to see if we have an instructor. We'll look to see if we have enough students to make for a course. And we do our best to offer as many courses as possible to as many schools as possible. But time and again, we'll have where 2 or 3 schools want the same thing. And we don't have enough way to get everybody what they need when they need it. So we look back over the last few years, and it varied from year to year. Some years a school may ask for 3 classes or 5 classes or 8 classes, whatever it may be, and it might be 5 students in this class and 12 in this one and 15 in this one. But we noticed the classes were all very similar. There were about 10 courses that all 4 high schools were accessing, that their students were asking for. So we said, let's package this in a way where students can have not just hope to get a course this semester, and they band together with a few classmates to say, if 10 of us can do this, we can take this class together. Let's go ahead and put the classes together in a cohort model. Go ahead and schedule it out. They already know when it's being offered on their campus. They don't have to travel to us. We'll come to them. We'll go work with the administrators and on site and go ahead and put it in the master schedule. And instead of having to say, well, I want to take this, but it's the same time as band. Man, I don't want to give up on band. Band's part of my experience. Or I don't want to give up an AP course. It's the same time as the AP course. And man, it's a great AP course. We're working with administrators. I've met with all 4 schools administrators, teams, and had parent meetings at all 4 schools. And we've created a schedule, as you'll see in a moment, where it's not an either or, it's an and. So these classes, we will send instructors out face-to-face for all students who qualify, and we'll go through what that looks like. A student will take these classes their first period throughout their junior and senior year. They don't have to leave the school. They don't have to give up anything. They're getting dual credit, and they can earn 25 to 27 semester hours. And typically at a 4-year college, 30 semester hours is a year. So if they do this, not doing anything different with their high school schedule, they'll earn a year of college for free. They can transfer it to over 100 schools in North Carolina. The dual credit, again, is course for course, and what that means is I had 2 children myself that went through this program. You have lots of ways to earn college credit, this being one of them. You have AP, Advanced Placement. You have IB, International Baccalaureate. You have Cambridge courses. There are lots of ways. But what makes this different from all the rest is if I take an AP course at the high school and do really well, I have to take an AP exam. Any of y'all have to take AP exams? Not very fun, right? Yeah. Stressful, sometimes stressful exams. No exam required with this. And the courses, even with an exam, you have to score a 4 or 5 to consider getting credit. You could take the exam, score a 5, and the college can still say no, or they can say, we'll give you credit, but we'll give you credit. You took a stats class, you made a 5. We'll give you an elective credit for that, and you still got to take stats at college, right? This articulation says if you take stats, no exam, you get stats credit at Chapel Hill or NC State or Western. You take American Sign Language, you get your foreign language credit for credit. Again, if a student does this, and again, we've had a number of students, 2 of yours were just highlighted for us. They earned credit, they earned degrees before they left high school. That's $20,000 at UNC Charlotte. I have a daughter there. 1 year, 20 grand. Brevard College, $68,000. I mean, that's a year, that's money in pocket that they didn't have to pay out of pocket for the family. Mr. Garrett, jump in here.
So one of the things that we sat down early, and I appreciate Dr. Leatherwood being here, she is very proud to say, we don't say no, we look for opportunities, and I've really certainly appreciated that, and being able to connect in with Dr. Stegall about how do we set this up to where it's a lot more inclusive, that people can take advantage of it regardless of what their background is or their work schedule or their athletic schedules or all of those things that make high school great to be in and lead to that comprehensive experience. So eligibility, as you see right here, is really what it's always been, but it lets us package it in a way to where we can communicate that out. So I really want to reiterate, Dr. Stegall sat down with our principals. We sat down with him and our principals. Then he went out and met individually with parents, had them come in all winter long to talk about what is Blue Ridge Scholars, what CCP is, what it's not, and that it really is an and, it's not an or. So you see right there, rising high school junior with an unweighted GPA of 2.8 or higher and in good academic standing, because it is a college course and it's going to be taught like a college course. And part of that being a cohort model lets them understand you're choosing to take college. So it may be seated at West or East or Hendersonville or North, but it's a college course. The other piece is there's further criteria for final selection of participants based on space availability. So that may look differently as this thing grows, because we've already seen an increase this year in the folks who have pre-registered for courses for 23-24 over the people who took CCP courses in the past. Now, one thing this also does is it helps us help Blue Ridge then find those quality instructors and be able to plot the best of the best, where it's not West that jumps on early and says, we want ASL sign language, and nobody else can have that, because I don't think there's a lot of certified sign language teachers around. or if you're talking about an upper level math or an upper level physics or something on the science side. So this is a way that we can help one another, not only continue that partnership, but really expand it, that helps everybody. So it's the best deal potentially that students will have that opportunity to do. Also, again, by putting it first period, it helps our principals because they know every year where to schedule. So then they can build their master schedule, because one of the challenges is, all right, so West might have had something first block, North might have had it second block. Well, seniors we know take English, but then they want band or they want a CTE course. So this allows more students then who want to pursue a CTE certification to also be able to take the CCP courses, because it's always solid in where it's going to be offered. So just really, really exciting to see us take the things that have always been there, but really schedule them in a way where more and more students will have the opportunity to take advantage.
So what we found out was parents weren't always aware of these programs. I don't know about your children, my children didn't always tell me everything that was shared at school. So we went and sent the message to parents to say, would you be interested in your child possibly getting college credit while still in high school? And we had parent meetings at each of the 4 high schools, and we had close to 200 total parents come out between the 4 high schools. We met with each of the leadership teams to say, your students typically take history with us. We have about 8 students this semester. A year ago, you had 17. The year before that, you had 3. What if we could tell them when it's going to be offered, and they don't have to guess or get a group together to take it together? We can go ahead and plan it out for them. If we do that schedule, would that be something you'd be interested in sharing with your families and your students? So when we had the parent meeting, we went with the draft agenda, and this agenda for the next 2 years, and I'll explain it a little bit better, is we went to the schools to say, these are the courses your students take most often between this 2-year period of time. Are these the courses you think your student needs? And some administrators went back and asked the students, would you still want to have these as the offerings? And you'll see the schools don't have all the exact same courses because we tailored it to what they told us they needed. So I'll just look at West. So West, we already know that they're going to have in the fall, all the students are in this program. And so if you're a junior going into this program, you're going to have psychology Monday and Wednesday. That's a prerequisite for that's a course you have to take at every college. And then communication, which is public speaking. It meets a communication requirement at all the state schools. And again, we have articulation agreements. First block, you're going to have psychology Monday, Wednesday, comm Tuesday, Thursday. And then in the spring of your junior year, you're going to have statistics Monday, Wednesday. You're going to have U.S. history Tuesday, Thursday. You don't have to take U.S. history again with your high school teacher. You're getting it right here. We also said, do you have any teachers that are qualified to teach for us? They have a master's degree in, I think it's 18 hours within their discipline. We're hiring some of your teachers to teach in their classroom, and it costs you nothing extra. And so we worked the schedule out with them, not knowing, we had hoped to get a commitment of 5, 8, 10 students. We're getting some of them 20 students. We're filling these up. In fact, you heard Mr. Garrett say a moment ago, if we get to where we run out of space, we'll have to determine how do we prioritize that. We hope we have that problem. We hope more students are taking advantage of this as possible. Nice problem to have, right?
Then we'll put pressure on to find more teachers.
I do have a question on the schedule though. How do you handle, you've got 3 block schedules there, then you have 1 7-period day.
So Hendersonville, they were the first to call me and said, can you come meet with us? And so we looked at what their schedule looks like, and they said if we offer it first period, and they looked at the courses they wanted, they said, could we make this work? I went back to our team and said, this is the time frame. Here's how many hours. It's a 50-minute period, I believe. So they're going to be Monday, Wednesday, every other Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, every other Friday. So they'll be all 5 days, and they'll get enough hours in. So comm will be an hour on Monday, an hour on Wednesday, and then every other Friday. So they'll get it 3 days one week, 2 days the next, and then the other class the same way. So they'll meet their time by getting it on Fridays. Yes, sir. It's a great question, because we were trying to problem solve how we can make this work regardless if it's a 7-period day or a 4-period day. We wanted students to have as many options as possible. So this is the schedule we came up with.
The other piece to this rotation too, it allows us then for those folks when they come in as freshmen and sophomores to plot what that 4-year plan can look like. So we can say, look, of all these courses, these are required, but then as you get toward the end of your career, you've got more options, and this is where those will fill in. So instead of you trying to hunt and peck on the community college offerings on CCP, it's locked in for you, and that's 4 semesters for me, 1, 2, 3, 4, where I get all of these credits, then I build that in starting in that freshman year, because 4-year plans is where we want to move to, where we talk about what's your passion, what's your dream, and then we work backwards from there. So that'll fit right into that as well.
So North Carolina, a high school student needs 22, I believe it's still credit hours to graduate, 22 specific courses. If you're on a block schedule, 8 classes a year, times 4 years, that's 32 classes. So they have 10 to play with. If we can schedule this their junior, senior year, like you said, first block, the schools have said, well, we won't put band up against them in a competition. They can still take band. We'll offer that third period, fourth period, whatever it may be. So we're being strategic so students have a wide variety of choices and they don't have to eliminate something just because of some creative scheduling we could work around. What it allows us to do as well is you'll see the instructor that's doing, say, psychology, they'll be at West this fall. They won't be at East or North or Hendersonville, but they will get to each of those schools within that 2-year period of time. So you know you're going to get the classes you want. You don't all get them at the same semester. It allows us to strategize our staffing. Instead of asking them to choose between 2 schools that want the same course, we can schedule where they all get it. We don't have to eliminate because of some scheduling issues. Here are just a few of the schools that students have gone on to. There's 58 community colleges, 48 public or private school universities and colleges in North Carolina. There are 4 years that have signed the articulation agreement. Mr. Garrett and I were talking earlier. There's many, many more out of state. I mean, most out of state, I think Tennessee, East Tennessee State, Clemson, they all have agreed to do this as well. Really, most of the students, you can go online and find out if the college isn't in North Carolina, would they consider doing it? You can imagine how nice it would be to go to any of these schools with a 2-year, half of a 2-year degree, or you've got students that have earned their 2-year degree while in high school. And they have that flexibility. I just got 2 years to get my bachelor's, or I can stay 4 years and get a master's, or take it a little bit slower and double major. They have a lot more options. They can save money, get quicker, whatever works for their plan.
And in addition to that, we've talked about students that may be first generation college, don't have to take 18, 21 hours and jam up, or if they need to work and kind of help put themselves through college, they can take 13, 14 hours instead of 18 to 21 in a semester and still finish in those 4 years. So it creates a lot of options for each individual student.
Great thing is, it's tuition free for students. You're funded as a public school. You get funded as if the student's sitting in your classroom. We're teaching them, so it allows you to make smaller classes because we're teaching your students during the period that you don't have to if the students come to us. We're coming to you on your campus, so students don't have to worry about transportation or scheduling concerns. We come to you, and it takes that barrier. We try to eliminate that. What it also does, there are students, and again, I've mentioned a few times already, you have some students that are doing these type of things and taking online courses with us and coming on our campus and taking courses. You have students that can take the traditional high school experience. They'll get really a semester with us through this program, but they can, between AP courses and other classes through us, you've got 2 students this semester that are graduating with degrees from Blue Ridge as they graduate the high school with their high school degree. So, and they're getting into top tier schools, Purdue and I think Wellesley
Is one,
yeah.
and then Purdue, and that student is transferring dozens and dozens and dozens of hours right into Purdue.
You had a Moorhead student last year that had about a semester's worth of courses with us, so it looks great on the resume, and it really has been a game changer for a lot. Again, you can get high school credit, community college credit, and a 4-year university credit with one course. That's quite a bang for the buck. And no buck, by the way, is free. And again, I mentioned the AP. There's no end of course test, and it's a guaranteed acceptance for the.
So you're better transfer.
So you're better, yes, sir. Thanks for that
better
clarification. We wanted to have that college experience, and Mr. Garrett's mentioned it. It is a college course, so we have the college expectations. This allows students within the safety of their own high school, with the structure of their counselors and their classmates that they're friends with, to experience college courses and learn survival skills of, oh my goodness, I got a Monday class, but then tomorrow is a whole different class. How do I balance out the workload and the planning? But we've seen over the years that students develop these skills that really benefit them when they're away from that structure and that undergirding of counselors and parents with them, that when they get to college, they seem to do much better. After completing this, they could continue on if they wanted to with us. If they only do this, they could be done with an associate's in a year or so. Some of them may come to us. Some of them may decide to go straight to the university. And we will provide all Blue Ridge Scholars students who complete a core to Ware High School as well. It's just a recognition of their hard work and what they've done to accomplish this. Again, the requirements, as Mr. Garrett said, a C or better. If you want to transfer it to an institution, you have to get the C or better. It's a 2-year commitment against 1 period a day. What we've done is we set it up to where these are the classes we're offering at your school. You're getting the same ones. All the schools will have the same opportunities, not in the same order. But it's not a la carte. You don't say, I want to do one this semester and not do it next semester. If you want to do this, you're in this for this 2-year period of time. If it's not fit for you, you can still do the other courses with us like we've always offered. It's just another option. We feel like the cohort model lets them go through it together. Dual enrollment, pass all classes in order to stay in the program, C or better to transfer it. And we just ask that they maintain the 2.0 just to stay in our program. We want to make sure they're successful. We don't want students being in something that's not right for them, or that they may not, it might not be the timing right. So the 2.0 is what we would expect them to have for us. We're excited about the partnership. Your administrators have been amazing to work with, and I'll pause for any questions if you might have any.
It says here courses are tuition-free for students, and that's great. Is that something that you anticipate forever?
Well, I can't speak for future General Assemblies, but it's built in, and Dr. Leatherwood can maybe speak even to this much better than I can, but the General Assembly is built into the state that this is a partnership that the state's committed to. It could be changed in years to come, but I'd say it's been 15 years, 12 to 15 years this has been going on. And North Carolina is lifted up as an exemplar for college dual enrollment. It would take something pretty extraordinary for them to not want to do that.
I graduated Hendersonville High School in '89. Started here in '75, but this was not offered when I was graduating. So I can just see the benefits of this and the partnership, and I'm just so glad we have Dr. Leatherwood, Dr. Segal, just everybody just involved. This is a great way to further children's education.
Yeah, we want them to say, I've got an a la carte choice of pathways I want to try, and easy on-ramps. If they try it and it doesn't work, they still can do lots of other things at the high school with us, but they don't have to, not everybody's getting the exact same pathway. They can choose what works best for them. I agree with you. I'd love to have it.
And I think also this program removes barriers of transportation for children who don't have transportation. I like that. I just want to make sure, and I'm sure, Mr. Garrett, you will do this, there was a statement in here about the high schools will have other types of enrollment criteria. I just don't want it to become an exclusive kind of thing.
So the only thing that's in there for is if the classes fill up, and how do we make that wait list?
Right.
That's what that would be. But I can tell you, I will put pressure
I
on
hear
Blue
you.
Ridge to find more instructors to double up if that's what, that's what it
The
takes.
president of the college, Dr. Leatherwood, has made it clear if we need to look for more instructors, we'll do our best. As he said, we look for yes and why not, and look for possibilities. So if we run out of physical space, we'll figure out how we can offer it multiple periods. If we need to, we'll be creative.
I like this. Thank you, Dr. Leatherwood, for
And I can say CCP to me is the best educational value in the state of North Carolina, and has been since going back to the old Huskinsville days and dual enrollment days. And we want to make sure that people have a chance to take those courses. And those courses that are here are those gen ed requirements. That they don't have to commit to a major right out, because you've got social sciences and you've got histories and you've got math and you've got your languages and your speeches, those things that, again, it's a great on-ramp for where they go next.
Awesome.
I want to make one more comment, but I don't want any more comment. I don't want any more comments from the board to follow this up. But just to plug that we have such a good, community college arena with our high schools, and they continue. And I know it's not necessary, but it helps to be on the same schedule. So we continue to, hopefully grow together and be on the same schedule and going forward. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Scott. Thank you, Dr. Leatherwood, for being here this evening.
Well then, may I continue on?
Yes, sir.
All right, appreciate it. All right, recognitions. Mr. Garrett, you're gonna handle this?
Yes, sir. Be my pleasure to do so. First, we have the Hendersonville Rotary Club presentation. So I think They have something very exciting in their hand.
I like big checks,
Cannot lie.
and I cannot.
So I'll just jump up here and say on behalf of the Hendersonville Rotary Club, we have been doing education as our primary focus as part of the service that we do within the club. And what we have done for really the last 40 years has been doing our teacher grant program in addition to our dictionary program and some other things. And so what that involves is this year we received over 57 grant applications from 17 different schools. And the club this year is awarding $18,000 to go on top of, over the last 40 years, about $600,000 that the Hendersonville Rotary Club has presented to Henderson County Public Schools. So with that, this is Laura Phipps, our president, and Carolyn Killian, our incoming president, and we have Kathy Allen as a member. And so we would just like to present this club on behalf of us and just thank you for
so
doing
much.
what you do.
Good job.
So before we transition, I just want to say on behalf of all of the staff and students of Henderson County Public Schools, we certainly thank our local Rotarians for the commitment, not just this check, but I know that commitment goes way back and a whole lot deeper than just the monetary piece. Now, we'll take that. We're certainly glad to accept it. But we certainly appreciate what you do in the community, not just from a monetary standpoint. Next, we'll transition to some student recognitions. So we have some folks who are out of town, so I'm going to take care of the first couple here. And first, I would like to call up Miss Brianna Sosa Trejo. I've had the opportunity to shake her hand many times this year and got to know her because she is multi-talented. And you'll see right here another talent that I was unaware she had until she won this, so it was exciting. So Brianna is a recent graduate of the Henderson County Early College, and she won the 2023 Congressional Art Competition for North Carolina's 11th District this spring, which means her artwork titled Skeptical of Myself will be proudly displayed in the United States Capitol building for 1 year for all of those visiting to see. So she won the entire district. And you see a sample of her work there. She's with our congressman and got to go to his office and accept that. And that is a beautiful, beautiful piece of artwork. So congratulations, Brianna, for all that you've done.
Good job. Take a picture.
Luke here. All right, so let me go to this and we'll come back. Hang on, Wes Henderson, I'll get you. So the next piece is, so the Innovative High School has had quite a year, not only with Ms. Trejo and what she just won, but a couple of big teacher honors. So first, I would like to invite Ms. Christine Corn to come up. So we all know Ms. Corn feeds us very well anytime we go around the Innovative High School. So automatically, she's one of my favorites in the district, obviously. But she's not just one of my favorites and one of our favorites. So Innovative High School's Christine Corn is the North Carolina, that's statewide, Association of Family and Consumer Sciences Teacher of the Year. So she's your state Teacher of the Year for the Organization, the award recognizes exemplary teachers who utilize cutting-edge methods, techniques, and activities to provide the stimulus for and give visibility to family and consumer sciences. A family and consumer science teacher at Career Academy, Corn is responsible for teaching all courses in the Culinary Academy. So I don't know if you might want to say a couple of things about the award, or just get your certificate and run while you can. But we all know the quality of your work, the quality of your teaching, and the quality of your kids' food, which is even more important to people like me. But we know that you've not only done that, but you've inspired kids to move on to culinary careers, and you actually had a pupil this year who's moved right in and is one of the big stars in that area. So as a, I guess, 19-year-old or 18 or 19-year-old. So certainly we talk about what you do is the application to the theory in all these other classes, and can't say enough to thank you and congratulate you.
Thanks so much.
And I'd like to invite Mr. Savage. Oh, he laid out on us. So I do want to recognize Mr. Thomas Savage. He's a Henderson County Early College Science teacher, and he won a very prestigious Burroughs Welcome Fund grant that he applied for, and he is a 2023 Career Award for STEM teachers. And really what I'm most excited about is he applied for this grant to then take his knowledge and his students to our elementary schools and do hands-on inquiry-based science with those students. Again, taking that theory that they learned in the classrooms and from those teachers and being able to apply it. And more importantly, almost a pseudo-mentoring opportunity for our students at the early college to then go into those elementary classrooms. He is one of only 4 teachers in North Carolina to receive this award. It's worth $175,000 over 5 years and presents opportunities for professional development. So he'll be able to use that money to do some personal PD, to also help our elementary teachers do some professional development to inquiry-based science, and also put money to fund his Young Scientist program is what we call it. But since his last name is so unique, I said you should call it Savage Scientist, but we'll see if that catches on. He plans to use the grant again to develop the Young Scientist across Henderson County. He's already done it at a couple of schools, but he will then take this to expand that to all 13 of our elementary schools eventually at the end of the 5-year period, which will include new science equipment and opportunities for those elementary teachers to attend science conferences. Each year of the 5-year grant, he'll work with 2 different elementary schools, beginning with Bruce Drysdale and Hillendale, and then add on each year. So certainly excited about that opportunity and proud of Mr. Savage. So I think that's worthy of an applause. So. So next we'll move to our student athletes. So first, Miss Emma Hall. So you're a junior, right? Okay, so Miss Hall is a junior, remember when we talk about this. So Emma won the 100-meter and the 300-meter hurdles at the 3A state level. She also won the 50-meter indoor, correct? So she's a 3-time state champion this school year.
Yeah.
She is also a junior, which means that she'll be back next year. So the rest of the 3A is like, darn it. And how many years have you won? Remind me again on the.
I've had the last 2 years I've won, so 6.
So she has 6 state titles right now.
That's awesome.
That's only 6 more than I have. But certainly, Emma, we're certainly proud of how well you represent not only your student athletes, but also West Henderson High School and all of Henderson County Public Schools. So congratulations, and we'll see you back next year.
Yes.
Mr. Taman Howell. Is Taman here? Taman's not. All right, well, we're going to read about him anyway. So Taman is the 110-meter hurdles 3A state champion. This was his first title? Yes. but he is a sophomore, so he's a 10th grader, and you see him up there on the screen. It's hard enough for me to run, much less run and jump over stuff while we run, but certainly look forward to sharing this certificate with him. And again, one of the things that was really reflected as I've learned more is how well they carried themselves as student athletes. And anytime that they travel beyond West Henderson High School and travel beyond Henderson County Public Schools, the best thing that I hear is how great of a character they had and how well they represented their community. So certainly we applaud Taman and Emma. Coach Corn, come on up. You got a buddy.
Sleepy buddy.
Yeah, bring her up. So I'm going to let Coach Corn talk a little bit more about specifics, but right there on the screen, you see that after an exciting spring, you are looking at the head coach and assistant coaches and several members of the 3A state champion baseball team.
Yeah.
So it was quite an exciting ride, to say the least. As you see, there's some good luck hair that went along with this that I did not know was part of the deal. I was not asked to dye my hair. I wouldn't have, but I'm glad, so I wasn't asked. But certainly we're proud, again, once again, of West Henderson High School's baseball team, but also just how Coach Corn and his team carried themselves throughout the season, throughout the playoffs. They had they were marked men. They had a lot of people gunning for them and handled everything with all kinds of grace and class that you would want to see out of these 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old young men. So certainly appreciate your mentorship, Coach, and how you carry yourself in the program you run, and congratulate all of your staff and student athletes, the team there. So it'd be great if you wanted to say just a couple of things. I know that you had a most valuable player and also had someone win the sportsmanship.
Yeah, so just talk about a little bit about our season. We finished the year at 27-5, back-to-back conference champions, obviously Western Regional champs. Alex Anderson was our most valuable player with a 750 on-base percentage in the state championship. He had a phenomenal, really postseason run, hitting 5 home runs, hitting over 600 for the average for the state playoffs. We had, of course, a lot of help out of all the seniors and all the players. Obviously, the team showed a lot of grit and heart. This postseason run with all these extra games, it takes everyone, and everybody was fully committed in this basically extra month of baseball. Jesse Baldwin was our sportsmanship award. Jesse's been our manager for 2 years. Shows up each and every day at practice, is a pivotal part of our program, and just keep us all together and of course focused on our team goal. So that's just a little bit about the team. Players we have here, we have guys already in post workouts for football and other things, but we have Nikki Stanko, Alex Anderson, Amani Perrin, Isaac Johnson, Colin Engel, Ryan Cassidy, Hudson Presley, Grant Putnam, Logan Oliver, Jesse Baldwin, our manager, Coach Anderson, assistant coach, Coach Gash, and Coach Chip Kuntz, and then my other daughter Gracie and Charlotte. So that's the whole crew here that's here today.
Great job, Jackie.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Line up.
And thank you all for recognizing us. Appreciate it.
All right, 1, 2, 3, Falcons. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Great job.
And I just want to say to all our student athletes, this is after their school time. They're here.
Right.
So congratulations on a great school year, great seasons, and we look forward to next year. Thank you, Coach. And you've heard me enough, so I'm going to exit stage left and let Dr. Marlowe take the next piece.
Okay, I'm really excited to do this one because a month ago at our last board meeting, as soon as we finished, Mr. Garrett and I jumped in the car with a couple of other of our Henderson County representatives and drove to Raleigh that night so that we could be there the next morning at 9 a.m. to support our migrant education program as they receive the award for the state's outstanding migrant education program. And I just want to say, that's their banner up there. They were totally surprised to have us wander in, but we were excited to be there because at the very least, the outstanding education program had to have exemplary feedback from parents and students related to the program, exemplary data collection, and there is a lot of data collection, effective and creative programming to address the needs of out-of-school youth and migratory pre-K students, exemplary summer after-school programs, outstanding process to engage the parents in the evaluation and planning for the program, and effective and creative programming to address the unique needs of migratory families. That's at the very basics. But what they also called out about Henderson County was the ability to excel in interstate coordination, the commitment to collaboration and communication that resulted in a comprehensive and coordinated system of support for our migrant students that was unmatched in the region, their words. And that we implemented specialized training programs to equip the staff with the knowledge and skills necessary to support our migrant students. That right there is why I'm really pleased to announce someone who's going to introduce the rest of her team. To me, an absolutely amazing woman who stood in front of you a couple of months ago to explain about the migrant education program, Simone Mortenberger. I'm going to let you introduce your team
Yes.
because they're not all here because they also are migrants sometimes. Like, you can't find them in the district. They're everywhere,
Yeah.
but they're amazing.
Thank you, ma'am. So I'll take a minute just to thank you all for inviting me earlier this year, and always happy to answer questions. I know we've got some new folks, but Henderson County is a community that depends on agriculture, and for many, many reasons, and I am so proud to work with a school community that meets the needs of all of our students, regardless of how and when they come. And so it is a large department. We have in the neighborhood of 30 part-time employees or seasonal employees and people that are here and there and people that play many different roles. I also want to acknowledge in that picture in the corner in the bottom there, Hunter Ogletree and Areli Perez, who have been moved on to, not been moved on, they were invited to join the Department of Public Instruction. So they are former coordinators of this program that really put a lot of work into it. But at this time, I'm going to recognize some of our current team, some newer than others. But Germán Ruiz, who's going to come up here, come on up, and we'll all join over here. Germán Ruiz, who is our new coordinator of the program. Evelyn Alarcon, come on up, who supports us with our families and registration, going out to homes and making sure that we have students registered as soon as we know they're in the county, which helps us with our count over this summer. Israel Olivares Mejia, who is part of our identification team. So again, going out and finding families that qualify for support and service and making sure they're in school and getting the support that they need. And Bridget Grant, who helps me with all the numbers, because there are lots and lots of numbers, and making sure that we have what we need when we need it. And then Anna Walsh, who is part of our preschool coordinator team. So I invite you to recognize their, come on up, Bridget. I invite you to recognize their hard work as well. Thank you so much, team, for all the hard work that you do.
And while they're moving toward the picture, I'd like a little point of privilege here. This is one of the strongest programs I've ever seen as far as MEP, and we actually selected to have this highlighted. We get asked to submit once a year some program highlights from around the state. So this was our selection as Henderson County's a highlight. And just, you know, seeing the graduations the other night, it was very evident that a lot of our students who are walking across that stage, first-generation high school graduates, are directly related to the hard work of this team and the impact that they're having. So I want that to be known, that that's not lost on us, on this community, on me as the superintendent and the staff who gets to see the wonderful work that you're doing. And I tell people a lot of times that you're in a profession where you wonder what your impact is making. You don't have to wonder. You get to see it each and every day. So thank you for your work.
All right, next up, board chair observations, and I've got a couple this month. The first being, I just want to congratulate all the 2023 grads for making it, graduating last Friday, and really thanks to their parents for making it and helping them get through. Second thing I want to talk about is something that's been in the news past couple of days. A particular commissioner decided to talk about defunding Henderson County Public Schools from our local appropriation due to our moving the calendar up for our school year next year, which was a direct result of many parents, lots of talks, lots of conversations, lots of emails, begging and asking for us to do this. And so we listened. Now, this was a split vote, 4-3, but the board spoke. And our parents are still emailing us to this day, telling us that this is what they want us to do. And so I just wanted to affirm for those parents that I have not yet been able to reach out to that I have no intention of changing the calendar this close to the start date for next year. And if any particular commissioner would like to have a conversation with me outside of the public or inside of the public about taking away funding from children in Henderson County, I'll welcome that opportunity at any point in time. Thank you. So moving on to board member observations. This side of the room?
Well, I too would like to congratulate our 2023 graduates and families, and I just want to thank all of our staff, from central office to custodians, just everybody pulling together this year to have a wonderful school year. It has been so nice to get back to normal. It has been great to have all of the activities throughout the school year, not just at the end of the year. But that's what it's all about. And I know that to bring everything together that we bring together and to have state leaders among our teachers, that doesn't happen just by chance. And we've made an effort to recruit wonderful people, and they're here and teaching our children. We're not perfect. We still have some things to do and some things to work on. And I think this board is committed to that. But it's just been a wonderful year, and I just want to thank everyone, our community partners, and last but surely not least, our parents, and for the support and for the opportunity to work with your children for this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kasky?
Well, it has been nice to have a normal, whatever that means, a normal school year. I just want to remind people that there are some amazing Pride events going on this month. Next week, Juneteenth, there are lots of celebrations going on in our community. You might want to check that out. And again, congratulations to the class of 2023. You guys are awesome, and you made it through a really rough time.
Thank you. Anyone from this side? Sure. Don't forget your mic.
On May 19th, I attended a program at Hendersonville High School called HCP Sings. It was originated in the first year by Ms. Christine Cullen, who is a chorus teacher at East Henderson High School. It was a packed house. Represented at that concert were Hendersonville High School choruses, Apple Valley, East Henderson, Flat Rock Middle, Hendersonville High and Middle, North Henderson, and West Henderson. And I would congratulate them on that performance. It was outstanding and no joke. It was a packed house, and I presume they'll do it again next year. Also, on June the 1st, especially after COVID hit, Gary Blackwell and his FHA members had a wonderful program at North Henderson honoring the FHA students at North Henderson High School at a wonderful banquet. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you. Mrs. Norman?
I just also wanted to echo the congratulations to all the graduates, and we had a lot of really awesome accomplishments with sports and academics. You know, Sheila and I have only been here for half the school year. We're still new, but I'm continually just blown away and excited for what we have going on here. I know this whole board, we genuinely care so much about these students and families and community, and I'm just so excited and honestly honored to be here serving. And I hope everyone has an awesome summer and gets much needed rest and enjoyment with their families and friends. And I'm really excited for what next year holds in the future. So,
Thank you. Mr. Egoff? I'm good, thank you. All right. We're going to move on to public comments now. We've got a couple here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, first up, it's going to be Miss Katie Gash. Welcome, Miss Gash. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone, and congrats on all of us finishing a wonderful school year. A couple things I want to mention. Well, first of all, I think the world of Simone Wotenberger and just the migrant program that she does or that she leads. And I was just thinking there that because we are unapologetically focused on helping our students and families of migrant families, which is a community too often marginalized, and we see what wonderful results come when we're not afraid to boldly and unapologetically name and label and call out and say, this is a community that needs us. I wish that we would be as bold and unapologetic about prioritizing the needs of the African American students who we have. We know that we have the different, the different subgroups within each school, and I think we have maybe 23 schools, and in those 23 schools, we all together have 90 subgroups, but 22 of the 23 schools have a subgroup that's for our Hispanic students. And so therefore, I think we are in a position where we do recognize and we do pour our efforts in. However, of those 90 different subgroups in all the 23 schools, there are only 2 schools that have a subgroup that's African American. And so I wonder if sometimes if that's why we kind of maybe minimize our need to specifically address what are the needs of our African American students. I want to talk about I know there's lots of wonderful efforts going on within our community, our school community, and I hope that it's not piecemeal. I think that when we have something that's more systemic, like how that migrant family program is, I think that's where we see real change. And I want to just talk about Miss Allison and an experience I had with her. She's my principal, and I think the world of her and the way that she supports me and my passion for equity. A couple of years ago, when I became the honors teacher for the 8th grade math class, and we had conversations about equity, and I remember getting my honors list of students, and there was 20 students on there, of which there was only 1 African American girl and 1 Asian young lady, and all the rest were white. And I went to Miss Allison. I said, Miss Allison, this isn't what we spoke about. This is now, my 8th or 9th year of being a math teacher. My honors classes always look like this, and we say that we're going to make changes, but I don't see changes. And sometimes as an 8th grade teacher, I feel like it's maybe a little bit too late for me, because I feel that our kids of color have been overlooked in 3rd grade or 4th grade or 5th grade or 6th grade, or just not challenged. And what I really enjoyed is I went to Miss Allison with that list, and I asked her, can I look at all my other lists for all my other classes and see if there are any students of color or students who don't fit the typical honors mold that I can bring up? And she said, yes, most definitely. And we found 3 young men to bring up into that class of Hispanic descent. And of those 3 young men, 1 scored in the 99th percentile, 1 scored in the 92nd percentile, and 1 scored in the 80th percentile. And so I thank her for that, and I know that as a teacher, I will continue to ask her for that, but I wondered if maybe we could encourage more teachers to do that. But thank you for the ongoing efforts, and I'm very grateful for it. Amen.
Mrs. Gash. Next up is Forrest Sheehan. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Forrest Sheehan. I'm the Assistant Chief of the Mountain Home Fire and Rescue. The reason I'm here today, as many of you may know, as of Monday, the Mountain Home Fire and Rescue has asked the county commissioners for the permission to pursue a possibility of obtaining a piece of property to move our substation, our third substation, from the top of Carriage Park. The piece of property that we're looking to possibly acquire or looking at would be adjacent to the Rugby Middle School. It's sort of the north or the southeast corner of that, be right along the side between the Rugby Middle School and the Triple Creek subdivision. So that would be about where that location would be. We're right now just trying to do some due diligence, just want to get everybody on board, just kind of put everybody on everybody's radar, kind of that may be coming about. At this time, we do have a lot of due diligence to do for that property, working with the county as well to try to get that. The purpose of that is to improve our response times both to the Rugby Middle School and West Henderson High School areas. This year, I believe, during the school year, we have already had right out between the two schools, probably 15 to 20 calls we've ran to those two schools over the school year. This would dramatically decrease our response times. We'll probably cut them in half, truthfully. Not only with the Rugby and Middle School and with West Henderson, but the neighboring communities, residents around there. A plus to this is the county already owns that property, so there would be no additional cost to the taxpayers. As you know, the fire department, we run on we're nonprofit, but we do get our county funding from taxpayers, so that would be a possibility there. We understand that we would need the approval still from the commissioners and as well as this board as well. Like I say, there is a lot of due diligence to do. We do have to contact the DOT and those things like that. The site itself, just see if it's even feasible. But right now, we're just looking at that as a proposal. And at some point in time, we would feel that we would have to come back with just a little more formal proposal to this board as well. This is just a little preliminary, trying to say, hey, catch everybody up on, make sure everybody's on board with it, and don't want to catch anybody blindsided. Hey, what are you guys doing? So we were just kind of throwing that out there, that that's maybe a possibility that we are pursuing with the approval, of course, of this board and the county commissioners in the future. So if you have any other further questions, you could contact myself or any of the chiefs of Mountain Home Fire and Rescue. And thanks again for your time.
Thank you, sir. Next up is going to be Mr. Chris Walters.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Walters. I'm a retired English language arts teacher from Flat Rock Middle School. I want to talk about the political and partisan aspect of public schools. Education is political because money to pay teachers and run the schools has to go through the political process. Education is partisan because people take sides. It does matter who gets elected to the General Assembly. I didn't think school board races needed to be partisan, but Republican leaders disagreed and are making them partisan across the state. And we all heard that big discussion a few months ago at the county commission meetings. Inside the classroom in school buildings, it is not partisan. But outside in the General Assembly, it's totally partisan, and it's the Republican legislators against the public schools. The lines involving public schools are clear. Democrats support public schools, and Republicans are saying money for education should follow the student. Republicans are appropriating hundreds of millions of dollars for parents are free to spend on private schools which have absolutely no accountability. When the demand for private vouchers started to wane, the Republican lawmakers spent an extra $1.5 million on an advertising campaign to promote them. Okay, that was in a recent column in the Times News. So obviously, if you look at the 10-year record, the Republican lawmakers are underfunding schools, they're underpaying teachers, and they're continuing to do it. They'll continue to do it. The underfunding is a source of great distress in schools. Teachers are leaving the profession. Teacher base pay begins at $37,000 for a bachelor's degree. Salaries top out at about $54,000, even after 25 years. That's not competitive. If you go into debt for a master's degree or PhD, you can earn more. I looked this up. In North Carolina, the entry level for electrical engineer is between $49,000 and $60,000 a year. So conceivably, if you graduate with a 4-year degree or even a 2-year degree from a community college, you can make as much as a teacher makes after 10 years. And let me remind you, after 25 years, it stagnates at $54,000. I know nobody likes to hear negative things at a school board meeting, so let me try to put this in perspective. There's a sign outside the library that I just saw. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay. That has always been something I believed as a teacher. That's signed by the Partnership of Health, creating a healthier Henderson County. So you have to say it's not okay. It's okay not to be okay when it comes to teacher salaries and the way the legislatures are treating us. If you want a healthier Henderson County, to start standing up for teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walters. Next up is John Hobbs. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm the Reverend Dr. John Hobbs, a resident of Henderson County who has grandchildren enrolled in the Henderson County Public Schools. I made comments last year as a way of acknowledging Pride as June is Pride Month and encouraging the Board of Public Education members to support the history and contribution of the LGBTQ+ community. Your actions and policies deeply impact the lives of the LGBTQ+ students enrolled within the Henderson County schools, shaping their psychological and social welfare. I am deeply distressed by the current legislative assault on the LGBTQ+ people that is happening in our country. According to the American Civil Liberties Union published data as of April 3rd, since January 1st, 417 anti-LGBTQ+ bills have been introduced in state legislations across this country. That's a new record. It is clear that the LGBT+ community, particularly transgender people's personhood and constitutional rights, are under attack. And because of those attacks, the lives of the LGBTQ+ people are being diminished and their basic right to the life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness is being denied. I'm also deeply troubled that one of the primary motivating factors for this national attack on the LGBTQ+ people is religious beliefs held by those promoting these discriminating legislative agendas. Let me be clear, not all religious people hold the belief that LGBTQ+ people should be held in disdain or believe law should be enacted legislatively to uphold heterosexism. Many religious leaders and denominations around this country, including the denomination that holds my ordination credentials, have theologies and policies in place that support and affirm LGBTQ+ people. They celebrate what they bring to the diversity of humanity. I ask those who support those 17 bills that have been introduced across this country, why does your religious belief get enacted in legislation and not the religious beliefs of those others who might disagree or differ in their theological viewpoints? Why is your basic sacred beliefs to be legislated and others not? In closing, I implore the members of the Henderson County Board of Public Education to not be persuaded by the current national trend of making policies that single out LGBTQ+ students or enact policies that make the school environments hostile to them. I commend and celebrate your mission statement, and you know it. And the last I'll say, you will honor the individual and nurture the potential of all children. Thank you.
Lastly, Joe Elliott. Welcome, Mr. Elliott.
Thank you. Good Good afternoon. The recent assaults on our public schools by our state legislature, with participation by our own local representatives in that legislature and one of our own county commissioners, demonstrates their willingness to sacrifice our schools and our kids for their own political gain. If there was a parade of parents here each month complaining about this district's educational shortcomings, then this might be a different conversation. The actuality is that the only discussion here centers on the manufactured complaints perpetuated by well-funded, out-of-state PACs seeking to sow discontent within our schools. So we have been confronted with CRT, claims that books in our libraries groom our kids for alternate lifestyles, and attacks on LGBTQ kids who simply desire to be allowed to be themselves. Each wave of these charges against our schools creates more angst amongst our parents who need assurances that their kids will be safe and provided with the best possible education. Nothing else. The end result, the legislature can now further reduce adequate funding for our school programs and teacher salaries. Offering more charters and now vouchers for students would seem like a panacea to parents who are convinced that the successive rounds of scandalous news over the past few years are an indication that our once proud and highly regarded schools are now suddenly failing our kids. The legislature's rush to fix what ain't broke has not been accompanied by any implementation guidance. So here are some issues that come to mind as we move forward. Will teachers become completely fed up with the low pay, lack of respect, and outright hostility and depart in droves from for other careers or teaching positions in other states? Will parents suddenly realize that using these vouchers will require a lot of research to find a potentially better school placement for their children with no guarantee that those choices will lead to positive outcomes? What price will kids pay, possibly for years, as they adjust to new classmates and different athletic and social opportunities? Do kids at this crucial time in their lives need to be subjected to such a draconian social experiment? Schools are often the glue that binds communities together. Will the changing mix of students and parents affect that dynamic? Will special needs kids be welcomed by charters, private schools, or public school voucher transfers? Will we see intentional or unintentional resegregation of many of our schools? How will effective oversight of private school performance be monitored? I suggest we tell Raleigh and our local elected officials that we do not want our kids used as pawns in their never-ending quest for more political power. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, moving on to our consent agenda. I will take a motion to approve consent. Anybody?
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Consent's approved. We have no old business. On to new business. A is gone. So we're moving on to the student enrollment study update. Mr. Thomas Dudley. Institute for Transportation Research and Education. Welcome, sir. Oh, yes. We're going to let Carl do a little bit of intro to properly bring you up here. Sorry. I didn't know that was part of it. Gotta let me know, Carl.
Might be a good reminder. Plus, Carl loves to come up.
He
and
does.
stand for
He
hours
does.
upon end.
Yeah.
You got to be good at something in life. Good evening, board members. Tonight, we are honored to have Thomas Dudley with us from ITRE through NC State. Over the last 6 months, I've worked directly with him as he has provided an update to a study that was completed back in 2021. That study evaluated development within Henderson County and then used that along with some other information that Mr. Dudley will share with you as well tonight to start projecting enrollment future enrollment in our schools. That information and that data can be used to help guide us as we look at next steps, especially as we think about our facilities, our 10-year facility study, and other aspects of our buildings within our district. And so really appreciate Mr. Dudley's time, especially him venturing to Henderson County from the Raleigh area today to be with us and to present this information. So, Mr. Dudley, the mic is all yours.
Mr. Taylor, thank you. I could have done that.
Mr. Craven, Board, good afternoon. As mentioned, I'm Thomas Dudley with ORAD, and it's my pleasure to be joining you here today. I'll begin with a brief reintroduction to my organization because it has been several years since we've been together. And from there, I'll be highlighting different growth factors that we first encountered in 2021 and that influence your membership and will continue to influence your membership in the long term. I'll then be presenting your membership forecast, both at the district level as well as at the school level as well. And we'll have time for questions and discussion at the end, as well as totally welcome during the course of the presentation as well. Now about ITRI and ORAD. ITRI stands for the Institute for Transportation Research and Education. It's a mouthful, but it's a university research extension, part of NC State University, and we're housed on NC State Centennial Campus in Raleigh. ITRI has been conducting research related to transportation in North Carolina for over 40 years. My little corner of ITRI is ORAD, or the Operations Research and Education Laboratory, and what we do is we're an unbiased third-party evaluation research group that strives to depoliticize the school planning process. We do that through the different tools that you see in bold listed on this slide, and if you're curious and would like to learn more about us, we have the links to our site there. The general sort of services that we provide are all related to either long-range facility planning or student assignment. You'll see the full list listed here. What we'll be discussing today is your membership forecast, including that school level forecast, or as we call it, the out-of-capacity table. I'd like to revisit big picture the growth factors that we encountered as part of the first project that we did for you all back in 2021. We're talking largely about transportation accessibility and transportation improvements, industrial development, and the overall geography of the district as well. To speak more specifically about factors that have influenced the membership forecast that you'll be seeing momentarily, as part of any long-term forecast, particularly related to student enrollment, resident live births are a critical factor, and you can see here your historical data going back over the last 6 years of available information. There is a decline in resident live births that have occurred within the county, but that's not the full story, and I'll dive into that more in the next couple slides here. You'll also see, of course, post-COVID, a decline, or during COVID, a decline in enrollment, and then some recovery since then as well. Another item that makes its way into the forecast as well is the impact of charter schools. You currently have in the neighborhood of 720 students or so that attend the 2 charter schools that exist within the district. As you may be aware, the State Board of Education approved an application for another charter school that would be opening in 2024, or excuse me, the 2024-2025 school year, with approximately a capacity of 220 students or so, operating K through 4. And then their plan, the applicant's plan would be to increase that to K through 8 and a capacity of roughly 400 students by the 5th year of its operation. Now, with all of this information together, we create your enrollment forecast. This is broken down by school level. So we have elementary, middle, and high. The 3 lines here looking out over the future. And the major sort of takeaway that stands out to me when I look at this graph is the growth that you see at the elementary school level. That's congruent with the assumption of young families moving into the district, primarily in new residential developments that you're seeing come online now. You also see an increase at all of the levels over the next 10 years. And what I'd like to show next is a quick visual way of breaking that down by the school level. This is the out-of-capacity table. It shows where your needs are and where they will be in the future. So the coloring that you see in the background, that's just utilization, so the number of students forecasted divided by the capacity of your schools. And so working our way from left to right, we start with the name of the school, and this slide is just the elementary schools. We have an additional one for the middle and high. Working our way from left to right, we have the name of the school, the capacity of the school, the membership from this current school year, and then going out over the next 10 years, forecasted membership. And again, the utilization is the coloring that's in the background. I'll be moving on now to the middle school one, middle and high school. And at the very bottom, you can see the totals for how the enrollment will change in the district over time as well. I know this is a lot of information, so I'd just like to pause here and ask if there are any questions for me or any discussion on these charts that you have in front of you.
The only question I have is the same information that we had before, just updated numbers, essentially.
It is an update, absolutely, that's correct.
Okay.
So with this information in hand, again, it's a quick visual way of seeing where your needs are and where they will be in the future. There are some instances where it's possible you'll see schools that are beyond capacity, and then just naturally over time as cohorts move up and through the system that alleviates itself. There are other instances, of course, where due to residential development or other factors, schools will continue to be overcrowded. This is very much a if you do nothing sort of analysis, is the way boards typically word it to me, or if nothing is done. So just looking forward as we move to the last slide here, and I know this is a slide for Mr. Garrett as well, just sort of next steps as you have this information in your back pocket. There are some additional next steps and considerations here on this slide as well.
So just to remind the board, one of the things that we were hoping to do, again, is take the new information that has quite rapidly changed in some aspects since the 2019 study, not just COVID where you saw a decrease, but also with the building permits that are coming in, which will attract growth here, is get an idea of what that trend could look like so that you as a board could really set up a 10 to 20 year capital campaign on what you're able to share with the community, with the Board of Commissioners, as to what those needs are going to be. And as you can see there, it's pretty stark in some areas of where the growth is anticipated versus where there's going to be some opportunities for some movement. So that was really the impetus of this, because I didn't feel like you could do a really solid strategic plan without this piece of information. So
I do have a couple questions, though. As far as housing starts go, how are you looking at developments that have been approved or are in the pipeline to be approved, are in stage 1 of 4, whatever, for their development? How do you take that information and put it into your presumptions, I guess?
Sure. So that's a question that we hear from time to time, and it definitely speaks to all the different phases that are part of developments coming online and the conversations that we've had with the planners as part of the different jurisdictions. What we typically say is that there isn't a sort of drop-dead date where this is where in the process a particular development would be included or not included. It depends on the planners that we're speaking with as part of the study, going back to 2020 and the conversations that were had along with those planning departments. The major sort of operating assumption and goal is that we want to include everything that we can that we know of that's going to be coming online. That's an absolute, but we don't, it's not a process of sort of listing that to a greater extent. But
sure.
So starting with that information that was collected as part of the larger study, the land use study, we then augmented that with an in-depth look at your parcel data. That's data that's available from the county, looking at where additional subdivisions and things are being coming online as an update to the information that was part of the previous study.
I guess my question is this, to break it down a little bit further, is so you'll have, not all developments are the same, clearly, right? So you'll have maybe an over 55 development that's going in that typically wouldn't have many children that would be in those developments. Whereas maybe Taproot, that's going to have 1,000, 1,100, 1,200 homes, or however many homes are going to be there now. how do you decide how many kids would be in that particular neighborhood? How does that work out?
So we do the best that we can to be able to model developments based on similar developments that currently exist within the district. So we look around and you know, for your 55-plus example, it's a standard practice in the world of school planning to assume that there will not be students coming from developments, for example. From there, it's looking geographically at areas that are similar to where those developments in particular are coming online. And that's a process called looking at SGRs, student generation ratios, and seeing observed data from developments that are on the ground now and modeling that information forward for the new developments.
Okay. Well, I think we just need to take this information like we did a couple of years ago before COVID hit, and really look at it because it tells you a lot, right? Clearly, Glen Marlow, Mills River area, we know we're at capacity right now and are only going to get more full going forward. And then you bring that down, it's going to hit Rugby, of course. It's going to flow through Rugby. Then where does it go next? It goes to the west, right? It's pretty easy to see. And so at some point, some board is going to have to make the decision. I'm not sure that these numbers jump out of the page that say, hey, you need a new elementary school here, but it may mean that big, scary R word that everybody hates, redistricting, to be able to shuffle some kids around to different areas, or potentially, I know we have always tried to allow residents of Henderson County to send their kids to whatever school they want to send them to. If you live in the Etowah district and you want to go to Glen Marlow, for the most part, we've allowed that to happen. You might have to look at maybe not allowing that to happen if there's, Glen Marlow and Bruce Drysdale are packed to the gills right now. So that's something that we need to talk about as a board and look at this information, and I'm sure we'll get this data and really just help us figure out, do we need to build on to Rugby? Does West need to be bigger? Does there need to be a new middle school? Does there need to be another elementary school in Fletcher or whatever? Hopefully this will help us guide that conversation. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns?
Well, this is the first time I've seen it. It didn't load on my feed, so thank you for doing the research. It's extremely intense.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Mr. Chair, if I can make a comment, one of the things about this is as you ingest this information, this is a really great work session topic, because then you're kind of open to explore some avenues and don't feel like you're trapped in one way or the other, have to make a decision, because this, again, we wanted to get this data to you well ahead of any time to make a decision and well ahead of before we put together any type of strategic plan. I mean, we know the systems that are in place now that we have to replace, and we're happy to do that. But as we think about facilities, capacity, acquiring property, all those things that go with a new school or the dreaded R word, you need plenty of time to do that, communicate with one another, and that's why you're getting this now. We've got plenty of opportunities and can put together plenty of opportunities for you to have some really good discussion on the different implications of each thing that may happen there.
Thank you, Mr. Dudley. I appreciate it.
And I will remind all the students out there who are listening, this is a great career opportunity that you probably don't think about when you're 15, 16, 17 years old.
We are hiring.
Yeah.
You and everybody else, sir.
How many kids this summer are actually listening to this?
All the ones who dream of being a superintendent when they grow up, sir.
Right. All right, next up, you're already there.
I am, and speaking of things that are exciting, a few months ago, Mr. Scott Moore came and talked to you about our career technical education program. They are required to write a plan. That plan is renewed every 2 years. This is the off year. So what you have in front of you is the plan that was developed last year. We're in year 1 of it, but it has to be approved by the board each year. So there are no major changes in this plan other than some updates to dates. The programming still stays the same. So we're just asking that you continue to approve this plan for the final year of this specific version.
Great. Questions? All right, I'll take a motion.
I make a motion to approve, the Henderson County Board of Education approve the 2025 324 CTE local plan.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you much.
Thank you.
All right, inter-unit student transfer agreements. Come on up, Mr. Carr Taylor. We'd love to see you. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. So, Board, tonight I'm bringing back to you our intercounty agreements with Polk County and Rutherford County. For specifically the Polk County agreement, this is in regards to the Saluda Elementary Zone in that area. And what the agreement allows is Henderson County students who live in that designated area, they have permission to attend Saluda Elementary, and Polk County allows them to attend without any type of charge since they are Henderson County residents. In return, what we provide is also the opportunity for those same students to attend Flat Rock Middle School and East Henderson High School without charge if they live on the Polk County side of that Saluda district. And so this is an agreement that's been in place for several years now, and it just allows for students to have that choice, especially when schools are closer to them in one county or the other. In regards to the Rutherford County agreement, that is for the Bat Cave Lake Lure area, and that is for the students on the Rutherford County side to be able to attend Edneyville Elementary, Apple Valley Middle School, and North Henderson, because it is closer for those students to attend those three schools, even though technically they live in Rutherford County. And so we provide that opportunity to those students free of charge, so they get to attend just as they were Henderson County residents. And then we provide Rutherford County with a list of the students who are taking advantage of this agreement. So I will take any questions that you may have in regards to these two agreements.
Mr. Taylor, has anything changed from this agreement from last year?
No, ma'am.
And the good thing is those are not the areas of growth that we just saw.
Yep. Yeah, we've had this agreement in place for a long time. It's just the right thing to do. All right, I'll take a motion.
I move that the agreements for inter-unit student transfers, Polk County Saluda section and Rutherford County Bat Cave Lake Lure sections be approved as presented.
Second. Second, Ms. Dale. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Sosha, we'd like to see you too. Approval of contracts in excess of $90,000.
Come on up. And before I start,
Grant as well.
as a, what's that?
Just in case. I'll get Grant too.
He came on down.
I know.
I
Sorry,
was like,
Brandon.
who was it? Yeah, Grant's anticipating. Yeah, so we have 4 contracts on here that meet the criteria for the $90,000 to bring to you for approval. The first is CDW, which is why Grant came down. That is Google. That is the Google Workspace for Education, which was the G Suite, which is where we use our emails, we have collaborative documents, we have a drive storage, and it's Google Classroom. The reason it's up here is not because of the 1-year contract, but what the recommendation is that we go with a 3-year contract so we can get better pricing instead of the $65,000 a year for a 1-year contract. But if we do 3 years, we get $52,000 a year with no intention of going away from the Google suite of services, that we would like to go with that 3-year option. So that is why that one is on the list. Since Grant is down here, I'll let, if you have any questions for him.
You're good.
The other one is Green Hill. That is the fence at East Henderson High School. That went out to bid and came back in. We approved $300,000 last month, and happy to say that that came in well under that, and we would like to execute a contract for $234,000 to put the fencing up around East Henderson. And that actually allows a little bit more than was originally anticipated of the decorative fencing piece.
And this company has things in stock.
They can knock it out real quick.
So we are very much hoping that you will approve this with this company.
Yeah.
The other 2 are sort of continuation contracts. We contract every year with Helping Hand. That is state funding that we get for developmental day services. We have averaged about little over $200,000 a year that we provide for those services for our EC folks. So that's asking us to continue that with the state funding. And Mountain Professionals, our driver's ed, where we use, again, state funding that we pass along to them to provide the 100% of the driver's ed services to our students. So that's a continuation contract with them for next year.
I only have a question on one thing. It's not really a question, it's a statement. So my son recently went through the driver's ed deal. It took him 18 months to even get on the list to be able to take the online portion of the class, not the driving. 18 months for him to even be able to take an online class, right? So after that 18-month period, he was then, he had to wait another, I think it was like 6 or 7, 8 months to be able to drive, to get his 6 hours, right? Now, I understand they're backed up, and we've got a lot of our teachers, retired teachers and retired superintendents that are actually working for them. But I would like to ask the superintendent now to figure out a way to get more of our kids going, because there's a new law that was just passed that you don't have to drive with your you 6 months instead of a year for your initial provisional permit 1, right? Which is going to mean more kids are going to get it. It's got to be quicker. It took 2 years and some change for him to even be able to get through the class, take the driving portion of the test, and then I went and sat at the DMV for 6 hours with him. That's a whole nother ball of wax. To take the test there so that he can then start driving, our cars. I know that they're behind. I know that COVID threw them off as far as the driving stuff went. I expect them to do better with a contract like this. Now, when I was going to school, and I know when I was going to school, but we had like Coach, I forget, Coach Stanley or somebody. We did it in-house. We took the class in-house at health class. You drove after football practice or baseball practice or whatever, and you were done. So this has to get better. I don't know how, but it has to get better.
So I can share that I have had that conversation very directly with our local folks who are working. I'm probably one of the few superintendents that has had a self-sustaining program in a previous life.
Bring it back. Let's bring it.
Well, there's trade-offs, so, but that is certainly something we could look at. But, we need that customer service and that delivery model to be improved. We have shared that. This contract gives you an opportunity to put that into place, and there are some things in here to where we can move in a different direction if that is the desire of the Board of Education. One of the things that Mountain Driving has done is it's made it very convenient to manage something that is put on a district that is really a county. You're given money as a county, not as a school system. It's just we're the contractors and the facilitators of that because we're the biggest machine in town in all of the counties with the LEAs. So there are some different things that we can put in place. I can say that a couple of folks that you've referenced have really improved what's happening locally because they understand locally the frustrations that have been there. So we will continue to push on that.
And I know some of they've this summer, I know they're going to the Boys and Girls Club and they're doing the class there, and they're going to be able to drive with kids that are right there and knock out a bunch of kids. Number 7 in this little presentation here of their thing is their class size, right? A minimum of 30 students, a maximum of 50. What it doesn't say in there is that the online class, like my son never went to a classroom, he did it all online. Why are we limiting the amount of people that are doing the online class?
So the third party that does the online class is through RISA, and I don't know what they limit theirs. That's who is.
That's the part that's the slowest, honestly.
And my daughter really took it this spring, and she was able to get in pretty quickly and do the class online. Sorry, sir.
Guess I didn't have the pull.
So
No, it's not pool, it's time.
No, I'm saying still continue with this contract, but let's let it be known, let's look at it in the future. I think it can improve. Everything can improve, right? We all can improve.
Why would we approve a contract if we're not really happy with it?
Well, if we don't approve the contract, how are our kids going to get the services? We don't have anything else in
And when
place.
does this contract terminate?
So it's a yearly contract, renewable up to 3 times if you would like to renew it up to 3 times. But it is the contract for 1 school year right now.
Just tell them, just put
And
them on
it
notice.
ends June 30th, I assume.
Yes, ma'am, that's,
So we're behind the 8 ball right now. We have to approve it at least for 1 more year.
We don't have anything.
well, and
We have
if you-
nothing in place to replace it
Yeah.
with.
And if you do decide to go internal or go in a different direction, you're going to have to give yourself several months to ramp it.
Exactly.
But I think just having this conversation will hopefully get the ball rolling to let them understand that, yes. Does that make sense?
I've heard the same thing from many parents that.
It's
Claire has
frustrating.
shared, That I don't, yeah.
It's really, really frustrating. My son, you know, whatever, he didn't get his permit till after he was 16, but, you know, it is what it is. It has to be a better process than it is now. And also, I don't want them forgetting about the kids out of IHS as well, because they do this a lot at East, West, North, and Hendersonville, but IHS kids have to go and meet on a Saturday, and they have to do, you know, it's a whole nother thing, right? So you know what I'm talking about. So I would just like to tell the leadership team that we have had this discussion. We will sign, I mean, I will vote for this contract, but they're on notice.
Duly noted, sir.
Well, I agree, and if we don't like what's in the contract, I don't know that I even want to vote for it.
Yes.
We don't have a backup. I understand that. We don't have a backup.
We can't put our kids out like that, right? I mean, our kids,
But if we're paying for a service and we're not happy with it, the responsible thing to do is renegotiate the contract or.
And find an alternative.
So essentially what happens in this contract is the money, like you said, just flows from the state, comes to us, and we give them the $65, right? Or whatever it is. $65 per kid, right? I just wanted to, I wasn't looking to have a conversation to cut them off today. I just want to put them on notice that we're looking at it. This is a 1-year contract. If it doesn't improve, or we don't see, you know, real improvement here, let's say in the next 6 months, then let's look for something else.
Can we do that
Absolutely.
in 6 months?
Well, that's
but
what,
I think
Nope, not in 6 months,
Yeah,
not
we
if you
could.
approve it.
if we could have some of the leadership team maybe start looking at what other places are doing, just to have
yes.
some other references, that would be helpful.
Or other companies or other whatever.
Correct.
Where's Teeter?
He works for this company.
Which one?
He works for the
Works for Mountain.
Mountain Professionals, yeah.
All right.
So these conversations have been taking place, and there has been some improvement, but we will continue to expect that, absolutely.
All right, I've said my piece. I move that the Henderson County Board of Public Education approve execution of contracts with the listed vendors as presented. Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? It approved. Thank you. Oh, you're still here. Sorry, procurement, I don't mean that in a bad way. Like the next thing, I was, you know what I mean? I'm looking.
Well, it's no more exciting, I can tell you that. So. This is a list of vendors that we are using for the non-competitive procurement waiver, using federal funds to make purchases with. The list before you are really on we have to ask for approval every year with these vendors. And these are all continuity of service requests. We have had these in place before. Curriculum Associates, they provide us with iReady. Elevation is what keeps Simone Wertenberger doing all the wonderful things that she does. Franklin Covey, we use for our Leader in Me program. The Henderson County Health Department is the contract we have to provide the school, additional school nurses. Letterland is our phonics instruction program, and it feeds into some of the letters training that we've been doing. Lexia, and there is supposed to then be Rosetta Stone, which is in the document below it, but Lexia and Rosetta Stone for language development programs, one for K-8 and then one for high school that we want to continue. RTI International is what provides the IPG grant contract that we have, the Innovative Partnership Grant at Career Academy. And where we're in the 3rd year, and we need to continue to use the original partner for the 3rd year, so we need to use them again, and Securely is what keeps us from listening to Pandora and things like that in the classroom, as well as blocking all of the things that we don't want.
And keeps us in compliance with
Keeps
E-rate.
us- Yes. So none of these are coming to you as new requests. These are just the annual request for sole source, so we don't have to put them out to bid again.
Questions? Second motion.
I move that the Henderson County Board of Public Education approve the above-listed vendors as vendors under the sole source exemption guidelines through the end of the 2023-2024 fiscal year.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it.
Why don't you, let's just knock out financial statements. You want to knock that out? Yeah.
You can't wait.
He can't wait. Just stay, might as well stay right there.
There you go. Just one tonight. Local current expense and other restricted funds as of May 31st. We have revenues for the year of $33,772,105, which is almost exactly as what it was last month, because we are done receiving our county funds this year. And expenditures are up to $28,031,000. The gap will be used up. We have about 10% of our budget will be paid out in June with the local supplement, second portion. We are still on track to be slightly under budget for the year, which actually is a switch from about a month or two ago. So we are doing, we're doing good.
How much is that final supplement payment?
It's about $3.5 million. And if I could, before I leave, I'd like to thank you as a parent of 2 graduates this year. Thank you for getting them to this point, and future boards that got them to this point.
It wasn't us, it was you. Good parents. It was not us. Great job, Bernie. Thank you, sir. All right, now we'll take Carl.
Don't steal his time.
Don't see, yeah, I don't want to steal his time.
All right, for this month's capital update, we'll begin with some of the projects that have come from this board's approval. The first one being an update on the baseball and softball lights at North Henderson. If you go across that final column, you'll see a wonderful word there associated with that project: completed.
Yeah.
It took longer than we had hoped due to some unforeseen delays, but excited to be able to say that that project is now complete. Those lights are on. The school has been able to get out there and see them get turned on, and so excited to be able to know that in the future, the school has access of the lights on those fields. Some other projects that were approved for this year's capital outlay. The first one being at Fletcher Elementary, a chiller replacement. That chiller was delivered today, and so work on installation will begin tomorrow. So really excited to be able to know that that project is underway. 3 other sites that have projects going on are Dana, East Henderson, and Henderson Elementary. The board approved during this year's budget for intercom replacement and VoIP installation. The intercom is being replaced due to parts not being available. While we're in there doing that work, we're going ahead and installing the VoIP phones, which is voice over IP, which allows every classroom to have a phone that will dial out. So that is a nice safety upgrade within those schools. Also, when people call the school for teachers, those phone calls, instead of having to do the old-fashioned paper messages or sending emails, the front desk can send them to a voicemail. Then the teacher gets an email, letting them know that they've got this voicemail. So it's also efficiency within communication in those schools. So excited that those projects are going on right now. Hendersonville Elementary will be finished before they open back up in July. And then for Dana and East Henderson, they will be finished in August for whenever they start the school year as well. Now transitioning to MRTS projects. For our elementary schools, again, the security camera installation continues. We have now completed installation at 7 of the elementary schools. As of today, on your slide it may say 6 because I got the update that that 7th one was finished at the end of last week. And so they've started at Sugarloaf. So that'll be our next one. Right now, as long as everything goes well, the rest of the schools will be finished up prior to the start of school opening up at the traditional schools in August. Hendersonville Elementary and Bruce Drysdale, they are already complete. So whenever they open up in July, theirs have already been finished and installed and ready to go. Then just some quick updates with our other 2 big MRTS projects for Upward. Everything here remains the same from our last presentation. for the paving part. That will begin actually tomorrow as well for the new back, which will be the bus lot and the staff parking lot. We did have a pre-construction meeting at the end of May, and so the architects will continue to work with Vinoy Construction, because they are the construction manager at risk in terms of the design and beginning the pricing part of that project. So right now, we are hopeful that that project will begin in October. In terms of the cafeteria expansion and the secure entry part. For West Henderson, the pre-construction pricing continues as the architects continue to finalize the design for that project. That one won't get started until much later in the fall or the first of the new year, so in January. Okay. So I'll take any questions that you may have at this time. All right.
Last but not least, general operations.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. It's my pleasure to share this month's general operation report. First of all, we have summer meal program that will be kicking off on the 19th, so next Monday. It will run every weekday until August the 4th. We have 2 mobile routes that will be going there, and we also have several sites that will be available for our summer feeding program. Remind everybody that's anyone 18 or under. It doesn't matter if you're enrolled in Henderson County Public Schools or not. That's a countywide opportunity for students to come and get some great meals during the summer months. We will be sending out a call to the community so that is, and try to push out that information so that families can take advantage. Summer learning will start on June the 16th and will run through the 30th. June 29th will be our special call business meeting to handle some financial affairs at the end of the fiscal year and to prepare for the next fiscal year. And that will be at 9 o'clock on June the 29th. We'll have to wish my mom a happy birthday on that day because that's her birthday. I want to make sure I remember that. First day of school for students on the flex calendar will be July the 13th. So we'll kick off the 23-24 school year with those schools. July the 31st will be our administrator in service at 12 p.m. at Mills River Academy is when we're inviting you to join us for lunch. And the ever popular legal update with the world famous Chris Campbell. World famous, infamous?
Infamous.
Either one. And then August 14th is the first day of school for students on the traditional calendar and our early cause. So those calendars will be congruent this year. And as a quick little point of privilege, I just want to say thank you to everyone for an outstanding 2022-23 school year. In spite of bringing the new guy to town, you had a wonderful year, and we've made it a year together. And I will say that I have been absolutely thrilled and impressed with my colleagues out in the district and all of the great things that they're doing. You get to hear about them every month here. We like to highlight them, and we'll continue to do that and to remind folks that our students are why we show up, but our people are why we're so strong. So thank you to everybody for a wonderful 22-23, and we're going to steam right into 23-24 before we know it. So thank you, sir.
All right. And I'd like to thank Mark. It's his just about his 1-year anniversary here for being our superintendent. And you're still here.
As long as you don't ask me on the 29th of June, I'll make it a year.
All right. Well, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
All those in favor say aye. We'll see you. Bye.